The Horizon series is due for some changes. While both Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West are the best versions of Western open-world games that fit the Ubisoft-style template, like the Horizon series actually has a likable protagonist, an interesting story, cool world building, and unique combat where the player fights robot dinosaurs, which is awesome, this doesn't change the fact that the Horizon series, while the best incarnation of open-world games that fits the Ubisoft-style mold, i.e. games that are designed akin to Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Watch Dogs, is still unfortunately a series within that aforementioned Ubisoft mold. If anything, the maps of these games are overly large and filled with a lot of open-world busywork, like bandit camps, tall obstacles you needed to climb in order to map out specific areas, creatures to hunt in order to upgrade your gear, and etc. In fact, it's just a lot of objectives that stretch out the experience and make some aspects of the Horizon titles unmemorable and even repetitive at more than a few moments. Sure, Horizon Zero Dawn, i.e. the first game, felt fresh in terms of being a modern open-world game, i.e. Zero Dawn had its own unique gameplay style, fantasy lore, good characters, and minor alterations to established Assassin's Creed-isms like replacing climbable towers with moving robot brontosauruses, which was pretty neat, meaning that Horizon Zero Dawn, while existing within the framework of a pre-existing open-world formula, had an enjoyable design, one that its eventual sequel, Horizon Forbidden West, doubled down upon and repeated years later, proving that the direction of the design of these games had merit. Yet I don't think that said design is necessarily sustainable or good for the health of the franchise, especially when discussing the prospective third game that's likely already in development, a game that I hope upends the Horizon franchise's previously established design choices. If anything, in the untitled third game, I'm hoping that the studio Guerrilla Games diversifies the gameplay a bit more, throw more nuances into the combat, and lessen the importance of side objectives that feel akin to reading a shopping list at a grocery store that your mother wrote, albeit one that's not in cursive, because this is not the fucking 1800s. And with that, I hope Guerrilla Games changes up the formula for the inevitable Horizon 3. Thus, there will be some meaningful alterations. This need for change was evident upon playing Burning Shores, i.e. Horizon Forbidden West's somewhat recently released DLC. In fact, the DLC highlighted what the Horizon franchise overall excels at and what desperately needs to be touched up upon in the inevitable third Horizon game. If anything, the DLC shows what does and does not work in this franchise in 2023, the year of our Lord. And to explain why this is the case, let's start by discussing what works within Burning Shores. For one thing, this sizable expansion to Horizon Forbidden West had a cool story about series main protag Aloy traveling to post-apocalyptic LA in order to find and eliminate the last of the tech broy Zeniths, who were the primary antagonists in the main game. The robot dinosaur hunting remains awesome, though that does go without saying, because robo-dinosaurs are doper than Dope Smoker. The archery-based combat remains unique and has some new elements sprinkled in, like a Zenith cannon, which just wrecks shit and is awesome. The game design for the main story missions and side quests are well-paced and satisfying, and thematically speaking, Burning Shores continues the emotional threads found in the main game, the ones where Aloy, despite being the only human on Earth capable of stopping multiple world-ending threats, must open up to her friends and allow the people she cares about into her inner circle, even though that means she has to get vulnerable, which was a good humanizing narrative element that allowed the player to connect with Aloy as a character. And honestly, Burning Shores expands on this point through the character of Seika, a strong, capable woman that Aloy has the hots for, and is a good character in this narrative, mostly because she forces Aloy to come out of her shell a little bit more. After all, Aloy has to question whether or not to let another person, one that she just recently met at that, into her trust. Aloy has to grapple with whether or not an LGBTQ romance is something she can do, all while the world is going to shitsburg. A decision that's hard for her because Seika can easily win over many sapphic hearts, including my own, because she's cool, sympathetic, and has a boat, which is a very important and underrated aspect of any relationship. And with that, Aloy and Seika have great chemistry, and that said relationship helps develop Aloy's character as a whole, giving Burning Shores meaningful emotional depth, allowing the game to be pretty good for that aspect alone. And when combined with the fun gameplay, the sound level design, the game's unique combat, the solid story, and the interesting world building, Aloy's storyline, action-packed journey, and the heartfelt romance in Burning Shores exemplify what the Horizon series excels at. But with that said, Burning Shores features many things that are wrong with the Horizon series, even with some of the open-world busywork in the main game being missing, though that's probably due to the fact that Burning Shores is a DLC rather than a full-fledged game. See, Burning Shores' core gameplay gameplay loop mostly consists of story missions and a few side quests. And unlike the base game, Burning Shores doesn't feature bandit camps to liberate, cauldron exploration, or Robo-Brontosaurus towers to climb. It just mostly focuses on the story missions and side quests, which on the one hand is good because this is where the Horizon series has always been at its strongest, and unlike the base game, the story missions aren't diluted by being interspersed with vanilla and repetitive gameplay drivel. And in this regard, that's great. But on the other hand, the absence of these gameplay activities was felt. After all, Burning Shores' map is very sizable, essentially a graphically beautiful vista, but one with limited activities outside the main story, side missions, and robo-animals to hunt and materials to collect in order to upgrade your gear and trade at merchant shops, because obviously post-apocalyptic economies need to run smoothly too. And given that Burning Shores map is so big, yet doesn't feature that many side activities, the world's DLC felt empty to a certain extent. Like, it looks like Burning Shores developers took a lot of painstaking effort to design this virtual playground, yet within this playground, it feels as if the developers forgot the toys, i.e. actual enjoyable activities that have nothing to do with the main story or the side quests. And look, I know in the first paragraph in this essay, I described how the base game's open world activities aren't all that exciting, and in a certain way, Burning Shores eschewing those said open world activities allows the focus to be on the story, characters, and fun level design, which as stated before, is what the Horizon series is best at. But still, that doesn't change the fact that if certain elements are going to be removed, they generally need to be replaced by something else in order to let the world feel more lively. It needed to have some compelling activities. And sadly, Burning Shores just doesn't do that. The world just feels big for the sake of being big, and that's generally not a good thing. It's not the best form of design. So what does Burning Shores' design mean for the prospective next game? Well, to answer, I just hope that in the inevitable Horizon 3, the story, world, characters, and the main and side quests can be complemented by open world activities that feel less like busy work and more just extensions of the fun gameplay itself. And whether that means old activities are entirely replaced or meaningfully retooled, I just hope that Guerrilla Games goes in a different direction with its design compared to the last couple of games. I just hope that Horizon 3 upends the design of past Horizon titles.